there is something most people never notice. The deepest changes in your life rarely begin with love. They begin with pain. Not the kind that leaves a visible wound, but the silent kind that settles into the corners of your mind. A betrayal you never expected. A rejection you could not explain. A person you trusted who suddenly became a stranger. Most people spend years asking one question: why did this happen to me? But I came to understand that this is the wrong question. A far more important question hides beneath it. What if the people who hurt you were not only the source of your suffering, but also the beginning of your awakening? Most people believe that healing means forgetting those who caused the pain. Yet the unconscious works differently. It keeps every wound alive until it has revealed the lesson hidden inside it. This is why some memories return without warning, even years later. They are not merely memories. They are unfinished conversations between your conscious mind and the deeper self. If you have ever wondered why one betrayal changed you more than 100 acts of kindness, this may explain everything. Because pain has a strange relationship with truth, and what I discovered about that relationship changed the way I understood the human soul forever. The people who hurt you did more than break your trust. Without realizing it, they exposed parts of you that had remained hidden for years. They uncovered fears you never admitted, expectations you never questioned, and strengths you never knew existed. But this is only the surface. Something even deeper begins the moment the wound refuses to disappear. There is a reason the deepest wounds linger long after the event itself has passed. It is not because the mind enjoys suffering. It is because the unconscious refuses to waste pain. What hurts you repeatedly is often pointing towards something you have never fully seen within yourself. The conscious mind wants to erase the memory, but the unconscious insists on understanding it. Imagine a tree standing alone through every season. The fiercest winds do not break its strongest branches. Instead, they reveal which roots have grown deep enough to hold firm. Human beings are no different. Difficulty does not create your character overnight. It reveals the parts of your inner life that were already fragile, hidden beneath the surface of certainty. This is where most people misunderstand suffering. They believe the person who hurt them stole something that can never be recovered. Their trust, their innocence, their peace. And perhaps for a time that feels true. But beneath that loss lies another movement, one so quiet that almost nobody notices it. The psyche begins to reorganize itself. Without your permission, it starts asking questions you never asked before. Why did I ignore the warning signs? Why did I seek approval from someone who could never truly see me? Why did I remain silent when my own intuition whispered that something was wrong? These questions are uncomfortable because they turn your attention inward. The ego prefers to blame. The deeper self prefers to understand. There is an important difference between the two. Blame keeps your eyes fixed on the person who wounded you. Understanding gently turns your gaze back toward yourself. Not to accuse you, but to reveal what has been waiting in the shadows. But this is where the journey becomes even more difficult. For hidden beneath every painful relationship is something many people spend their entire lives avoiding. The shadow. I observed that the shadow is not only the collection of qualities we dislike about ourselves. It is also everything we have been taught to reject, suppress, or deny. It grows quietly in the darkness, waiting for the moment life forces us to meet it. And strangely enough, the people who hurt us often become the ones who introduce us to it, not because they intended to teach us, but because they unknowingly exposed what had always been hidden. Consider a woman who spends years believing that kindness alone will protect her from betrayal. She gives endlessly, forgives quickly, and asks for almost nothing in return. She believes this makes her good. Then one day, someone she loves takes advantage of that kindness. Her first instinct is to believe she simply trusted the wrong person. But what if something deeper is happening? What if the wound is revealing that her kindness has been mixed with the fear of being rejected? What if saying yes to everyone has become another way of avoiding the difficult task of saying no to those who do not respect her? The betrayal becomes a mirror, not because she deserved it, not because suffering is a reward or a punishment, but because the experience uncovers a hidden pattern that had quietly shaped her life. This is one of the greatest paradoxes I came to understand. The people who hurt you often reveal more about your unconscious than about their own character. And once you begin to see this, your pain no longer feels like a prison. It becomes a doorway, yet beyond that doorway lies an even deeper truth. One that almost everyone resists the first time they encounter it. Most people stop at the doorway. They recognize the wound, perhaps even the pattern behind it, and believe the journey is complete. But the deepest transformation has not yet begun. Awareness alone does not change the soul. It only lights the path. The difficult step is choosing to walk it. This is where many lives quietly repeat themselves. The faces change, the places change, the years pass, yet the emotional story remains the same. A different friend, the same betrayal, a different partner, the same disappointment, a different workplace, the same feeling of being unseen. At first, this seems like terrible luck, but the unconscious rarely speaks through coincidence. It speaks through repetition. When a lesson has not been understood, life has a mysterious way of presenting it again, wearing a different mask. Think of a traveler lost inside a vast labyrinth. Every turn appears new, yet somehow each path leads back to the same place. The traveler begins to believe the maze is cursed. In truth, the maze is waiting for one different choice. The exit has always existed, but it cannot be found by repeating the same steps. The human psyche works in much the same way. I notice that people often ask, why do I keep meeting the same kind of person? But beneath that question lies another one, far more revealing. What part of me keeps responding in the same way? This question is uncomfortable because it shifts your attention from fate to responsibility. Responsibility is not the same as blame. Blame chains you to the past. Responsibility gives you the power to shape what comes next. Imagine a man who spends years seeking the approval of everyone around him. He avoids conflict, hides his true opinions, and sacrifices his own needs to keep others happy. Outwardly, he appears generous. Inwardly, he fears rejection more than honesty. Eventually, someone exploits that fear. The betrayal feels devastating. Yet the greatest lesson is not that people can be cruel. He already knew that. The deeper lesson is that he abandoned himself long before anyone else did. This realization is painful, but it is also liberating. Because once you stop betraying yourself, the power of those who betrayed you begins to fade. This is the quiet work of individuation. It is not becoming someone new. It is becoming the person you were before fear taught you to wear masks. The persona, the face we show the world, can protect us for a time. But if we mistake that mask for our true identity, we slowly lose contact with the deeper self. And it is often through heartbreak, rejection, or disappointment that the mask begins to crack. Most people see those cracks as signs of weakness. I came to see them differently. They are the first signs that something authentic is trying to emerge. Yet there is one final truth about pain that few are willing to face. And once you understand it, you may never look at those who hurt you in the same way again. There is one truth that the wounded heart resists more than any other, not because it is false, but because accepting it changes everything. The people who hurt you did not always create your deepest wounds. Many of them simply touched wounds that already existed. A careless word, a betrayal, or a rejection became unbearable because it awakened something much older, something that had been waiting in silence since childhood, hidden beneath years of experience. This is why two people can endure the same event and leave with entirely different scars. One recovers quickly, the other carries the pain for decades. The difference is rarely found in the event itself. It is found in the unseen history each person brings to that moment. I often thought of the psyche as an ancient house. Most of us spend our lives decorating the rooms where others can visit. We polish the furniture, paint the walls, and make everything appear orderly. But beneath that house lies a forgotten cellar, filled with memories, fears, and emotions we never wish to face. When someone hurts you deeply, it is as though they accidentally unlock the door to that cellar. At first, this feels like destruction. Everything hidden begins to rise. Old fears, forgotten grief, the feeling of not being enough, the fear of being abandoned, the longing to be truly seen. It is overwhelming. So most people rush to close the door again. They distract themselves. They seek revenge. They search for another relationship. They convince themselves that time alone will heal what has happened. But the unconscious is patient. What is buried does not disappear. It simply waits. And what waits in darkness eventually asks to be seen. This is why genuine healing is never about pretending the wound no longer exists. It is about walking into that cellar with enough courage to light a candle instead of running away. Only then do you realize something extraordinary. The person who hurt you is no longer standing in the room, yet the fear remains. That fear no longer belongs to them. It belongs to you, and because it belongs to you, it can also be transformed by you. This is the moment true freedom begins. Not when the other person apologizes, not when justice arrives, not when life somehow returns what was taken. Freedom begins the moment your inner life is no longer controlled by someone who walked away long ago. Many people spend years waiting for closure from the person who caused their suffering. But the deepest closure is never given. It is created. It is born the day you realize that your future does not need permission from your past. The wound may always remain part of your story, but it no longer has to become your identity. And once that truth takes root, something remarkable starts to happen. The very pain you wished had never entered your life begins to transform into quiet wisdom. Not the kind that makes you harder, the kind that makes you clearer, because in the end, the greatest lesson was never about the people who hurt you. It was about the person you became after you finally understood why they could no longer define you. The final realization is perhaps the most profound of all. There comes a quiet moment that few people recognize. It does not arrive with celebration. It does not announce itself with certainty. It appears almost unnoticed, like the first light before dawn. One day, you remember the person who once caused you so much pain, and something is different. The memory is still there. The story has not changed, but your relationship to it has. What once felt like an open wound has become a scar. And a scar is not a symbol of weakness. It is proof that something within you learned how to heal. This is the hidden purpose of suffering. Not to make you cynical, not to teach you to trust no one, not to convince you that the world is cruel. Its purpose is far quieter than that. It invites you to become conscious, to see yourself without the masks you once believed were necessary, to discover a strength that could never have been found in comfort alone. Many people spend their lives trying to erase the chapters they wish had never happened. Yet the soul does not grow by removing its darkest pages. It grows by understanding why those pages were written. The forest does not become ancient because it escapes every storm. It becomes ancient because its roots learn to reach deeper after each one. So it is with the human soul. The people who hurt you may have changed the direction of your life, but they did not write its ending. That responsibility has always belonged to you. There is a quiet danger in believing that those who wounded you still possess the power to define who you are. The longer you hold that belief, the longer you remain connected to them, not by love, but by the invisible chains of resentment. To release those chains does not mean forgetting. It does not mean excusing what should never have happened. It means refusing to let another person's unconsciousness become the architect of your identity. This is what I came to understand after years of observing the human psyche. The greatest victories are rarely visible. They happen in silence. In the moment you choose honesty over illusion, the presence over fear, awareness over resentment, and authenticity over approval. That is the beginning of individuation, not the perfection of the self, but the courageous acceptance of the whole self. Its light, its wounds, its doubts, and its hidden strength. Perhaps this is why the people who hurt you became such powerful teachers, not because they possessed great wisdom, but because they unknowingly forced you to search for your own. Without that search, you might have continued living behind a carefully constructed persona, believing it was your true face. Instead, the fracture became an invitation, the loss became a doorway, the betrayal became a mirror, and the pain became the fire that revealed the shape of your soul. So, if you still carry the memory of someone who hurt you, do not ask only why they entered your life. Ask what part of you awakened because they did. For the deepest truth is this: the people who wounded you did not hold the key to your destiny. They only led you to a door that had always existed within you. Whether you remained trapped outside it, or found the courage to open it, was never their decision. It was always yours. If these reflections helped you see your own life from a different perspective, then don't let this be the end of the journey. The greatest discoveries are rarely found in the world around us. They are found within. If you enjoyed this exploration of Carl Jung's psychology, subscribe to the channel and join us as we continue uncovering the hidden patterns of the human mind, the shadow, and the path towards self-realization. And before you leave, I'd like to ask you one question. Who was the person that taught you your greatest life lesson through pain? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story may become the insight that someone else needs today.